July, something bad happened, right? Something bad happened. James Gunn ousted from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, fired mere days after turning in the first draft for the movie, a movie that should, by all intents and purposes, already be in production right now, finishing off the trilogy that he started back in 2014, finishing off the arc of those characters, opening up the door to the MCU cosmic in ways unbeknownst to us, but knownst to James Gunn. It should have happened, but unfortunately, this is where we find ourselves. This is where things are, and this is the world we live in. And I'm telling you guys, it's a sad world. It's a sad world. I have campaigned now for over 7 months for the rehiring of James Gunn at Disney. And I knew it would never actually happen, but that didn't mean I was going to give up hope that there would be some justice in this world, some justice to befall James Gunn to allow him to continue on his career without just being completely overrun by people going like, did you read his tweets? Yes, the handful of tweets that he put out in 2012 were stupid. No one's denying that, but that's where it's at. It's not, but I just want to point out, there was a comment in a video I did the other day about this, and someone had said, but it was literally hundreds of tweets. No, it wasn't. It was like, I think I counted like 12. And if you live in a world where 12 now somehow equals hundreds, please don't buy any wooden nickels. All I'm saying on that front. But anyway, what we got last night after the podcast was over, I was so pissed about this because I'm done working. We got news. James Gunn is in talks to direct Suicide Squad 2. Now, this news had not, in fact, been public yet, right? We had all speculated because a couple months ago it came out that he would be writing Suicide Squad 2, not directing it. Everyone just assumed at that point that Gavin O'Connor was still going to be directing it based on a James Gunn script. And then we found out that Gavin O'Connor has moved on to other projects with Ben Affleck, who now has a schedule a lot more open, given that he's not on the Batman anymore. And but that left the door open. Who would be directing? Who would be directing Suicide Squad 2? And then, of course, they say, here's James Gunn. Now, Deadline says, as we reported back in October, James Gunn is not only aboard Warner Brothers' Suicide Squad to write, but he was also in talks to direct. The only new news today regarding the DC sequel is that the studio dated the title for August 6, 2021 release. Disney let Gunn go over his controversial tweets that predated his $1.6 billion grossing work on Marvel's The Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. Disney's loss is Warner's gain. Charles Roven and Peter Safran are producing. Word is that the pick is a reboot with new actors and characters. The 2016 DC title grossed over $746 million plus in worldwide and follows a ragtag group of baddies, obviously with Deadshot, Harley Quinn, the Joker, Captain Boomerang, and Killer Croc. And the thing is, I'm happy, very happy about this, but two, I'm also like not as happy as I would be. And I'll tell you guys why. I might be one of the few exceptions that truly liked Suicide Squad for what it was. I saw it twice in the theater. Yes, paid to see it twice in the theater. I have the soundtrack. I own the Blu-ray. I've watched it a number of times. I'm not a big fan of the extended cut. I feel like they put an extra Joker, which is cool, but it's like, it didn't really flow. I felt the theatrical cut was just fine. I also really liked the characters. I really liked what David Ayer did. I liked his presentation of the characters. I found them to be fun. I found them to be engaging. And I really, really, really liked what we saw. And I was really hoping to get a bit more of that, a bit more fleshed out with more time in between the films and not having been rushed to get it made. Because if you recall, David Ayer only had like 3 months to write the screenplay. He didn't even really get past the first draft before going into production. So that's something to consider. That's something there to consider in regards to Suicide Squad. It needed more time to flesh itself out. Now, James Gunn coming on board. This is the world we're living in. I would prefer Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but you know what? Hey, listen, I understand that's not going to happen. All right. But at the same time, the Suicide Squad being a reboot is interesting because we can kind of see what Warner's is up to, right? Warner Brothers at this point in time is 100% going to capitalize on the Guardians of the Galaxy style. And they really want the goodwill of the fan base that was so vocal about James Gunn being terminated. They want those people butts in seats. And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not going to lie. They're going to get them. Now, I watched Grace Randolph's take on this last night, which is actually how I learned about it. And she made an interesting point that I kind of want to discuss. She says that it's a bad idea to have James Gunn direct it, that it's a bad idea because James Gunn still has the stigma from the controversial tweets from last summer, and that ultimately what they should do is have him write the script, get another director to make it, have it go over well with the interviews and kind of play the PR game, and then bring him in for Suicide Squad 3 to write and direct that, which does make sense. I will completely agree with her logic. At the same time, I'm going to disagree because let him do his thing. The guy got screwed, right? Most people aren't going to care about the tweets. Most people don't care at all. It was the fact that some, not even alt-right media, this is the article is alt-right media got mad. Not all of them are alt-right, but what they were doing is they were trying to hurt people where they could. And we're living in this hyper sensitive world. And James Gunn was a victim of that. Roseanne was a victim of that. Absolutely. So I don't think people are really going to give much of a crap, to be fair, right? It's going to come up again. Obviously, they're going to be like, well, what about the tweets from back in 2012? He's like, I'm a different person now. Next. That's it. And here's the thing too. While commentators in like parts of the media might talk about it, in the entertainment world, no one's going to say shit. No one's going to care. This dude has got so much support, right? So much support that even you have top tier talent, top tier actors that are coming out and defending him. I'm not even kidding you. Let me bring up the tweet here because I came across this last night and I thought it was the greatest tweet of 2019 so far. So what you got here is Mags saying, hi, Disney Studios, Marvel Studios, please hire someone for Guardians of the Galaxy. I already vote Edgar Wright, Phil Lord, Chris Miller, or Taika Waititi, and will be happy to explain these suggestions. Edgar Wright responds, I'd like to throw in my suggestion too for James Gunn. Chris Miller says he'd be a good fit tonally. Taika Waititi responds with, agreed, at James Gunn would bring a fresh energy and style the first two films were lacking. And I fucking love that. I love that exchange because the amount of love that he's got from the industry, from his peers, shows that people know him, right? They know him. They know that these tweets were dumb. No one's defending the tweets, but they're defending him as a person. This isn't like a Bryan Singer situation where there's actual allegations of assault. It's just a dude being edgy on Twitter at a time when it was okay to be edgy on Twitter. That is the fact. But a bunch of these moral Puritans want to sit there and beat their chest over it. Oh, I'm outraged. What are you outraged over? Tweets. Really? From when? 6-7 years ago. Is it that big of a deal? Not really, but I have to be mad about something. It's the only thing that fuels my erection. That's where they are. And I personally am sick and fucking tired of those people. Because virtue signaling fucks cost a guy his career that was on a trajectory to define the next 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all because you wanted to play some kind of moral authority over shit you care not for. Again, not Bryan Singer. Not Bryan Singer. There's a difference there. Jokes is jokes, not accusations of touching children. Get that through your thick fucking skulls. So I'm still a little bit sensitive over this issue. Still gets me a bit. Anyway, Gunn coming on board and tackling this project, I think will be fun. People out there will bring it up, but no one in the movie blogger sphere is going to sit there and really touch upon it, right? None of the press junkets are going to really bring it up. You might get an in-depth Hollywood Reporter or Variety, cover story on him where it's going to be brought up and it's going to be talked about as it was in 2012. No, not even 2012. It was in 2012 he apologized for it publicly. And then in 2017, he apologized for it again in a Variety in-depth interview leading up to the release of Guardians 2. So this stuff wasn't unknown. But because Bob Iger didn't want to jeopardize the Disney-Fox merger and the $71.3 billion he was going to be spending to get this stuff, I get it. I do. I get it. Okay, I get this business. But at the same time, money talks and bullshit walks. So the money, the $1.6 billion that Gunn earned off of these movies for Disney is what Warner Brothers wants. So they're probably going to go down that route for Suicide Squad 2, the Suicide Squad. But the question here remains, are they going to let Gunn off the leash in regards to the type of content? Because when Gunn approached the MCU, he came at it from a PG-13, family-friendly, still going to throw in some masturbation jokes mentality. DC seems to be kind of going a bit more on the darker side. Let them go on the darker side over this and let them kind of battle it out. Let them do their thing that way. I wonder if he's going to be pulling up what he did in regards to Slither and regards to Super, which was dark as hell. You got also the Belko Experiment, which he wrote, which was a $5 million feature. I recommend it. That was violent and bloody as hell. Brightburn looks like basically Superman was a demon. And it showing you that he's got a darker side to him that he likes to explore from time to time. Will he be able to take these characters, these villainous characters, and take them on the anti-hero pathway to where they're not like good guys like the end of Suicide Squad, which was kind of trying to make it more like Guardians, maybe. But would it make it more like Riddick, where they're still the anti-hero? They still do the bad thing. I like the Punisher. You know, that's kind of how I view them. But look, anyway, I've been on this for too long. Let me just kind of finish it with this. For one, I'm a very big James Gunn fan. I'm very glad that he's got a job. I am bummed that it's not Marvel, but I'm happy that's DC. DC will be all the better by having him on board. This is a person who cares for his craft, cares for the storytelling, and cares about the audience, and wants to deliver a fun and good movie. I think we're going to get that, and I think it's going to be Marvel's loss is in fact DC's gain. And here's the deal. I do feel that after DC gets him and he does the Suicide Squad, Marvel will probably hire him back. That's what I'm predicting. And at the same time, just because we're on the subject of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, according to Sean Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is still happening. Saying here that his brother Sean, who plays Kraglin, says Volume 3 is still on its way. Speaking with the Associated Press, Sean says, well, my brother is doing Suicide Squad 2 right now, which I'm really excited about, and I know he's really excited about. I don't know what's going on beyond that. I mean, Guardians 3 is going to get made. We're going to make that movie, and we'll figure out what happens there, but you know everything ends up having a way of working itself out, I think. What does that tell you? What does that kind of tell you? It tells me this. They're going to make it. It's not going to come out for a while, probably 2024. My earliest, that's what I'm saying, 2024 right now. All right. 2024, 10-year anniversary, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Volume 3 drops. James Gunn will be the director. By that time, the controversy will have passed. His career will have been able to rebound, and they'll be able to bring him back in. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's going on, because if they were going to get this movie on board to be made anytime soon and not have reshuffled their entire lineup, they would have already announced a director. But nobody in Hollywood wants to touch this property. Just like the Oscars, nobody wants to touch the property. So Disney's going to put it on ice for right now and then come back to it later on. And I have a feeling we're going to see it in 2024. Or maybe a little bit sooner. I don't know. But the Suicide Squad 2 comes out in 2021. So you got to give it a couple years of development and then shooting and post and all that jazz. So that's where I think that one's going to lie.